Good morning, everyone. This is the Committee on Government, Joint Committee on Government, on Labor and Government Operations, and the Senate Committee on Labor and Technology. It is Thursday, July 13th, 2023 at 10:07 a.m. in conference room 309. First up, I guess we've got the Hawaii Office of Community Services for a presentation.
Good morning, Madam Chair, Mr. Chair, and Mr. Vice Chair. Giovanni Dela Cruz, the Executive Director of the Office of Community Services. Here with me today is my staff, my Program and Evaluation Administrator, Ms. Courtney Ho, my WAP Program Specialist, Mr. Jeffrey Chua, and my Research Planning and Resource Development Administrator, Mr. Alan Burdick. These staff are either directly or indirectly involved in the administration of this community service block grant that we receive in the Office of Community Services for administration under the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. I have submitted to you my written testimony. I will not go into it verbatimly to you today. I would just like to point out that this program is the flagship program of our federally funded program here at OCS that serves the economically disadvantaged individuals to attain economic self-sufficiency. It is one of the many programs that we have at OCS that gears towards fulfilling one of our legislative mandate, which is to help our low-income population here in Hawaii. So since the founding of the Office of Community Services in 1985, through the consolidation of those four different offices, Progressive Neighborhoods Program, the Hawaii Office of Economic Opportunity, the Refugee Resettlement Program, and the State Immigrant Service Centers, we have been receiving these very valuable resources from the federal government. It is part of the 1964 President Johnson's War on Poverty. So to highlight how important this federally funded program is, during the height of the COVID-19 pandemic, the federal government directly put an allocation into this program, recognizing the importance of this. They already have the structure in place to help speed up the service or delivering the services to our community. So the CSBG program was one of those that received a direct allocation through the CARES Act program. And during the height of the COVID-19 pandemic, our community action agencies provided services to their community. And to give you some of the examples that they did, were utility, rent, and mortgage assistance program, emergency rental assistance program, COVID vaccination and education event in the Big Island, which is connectivity became a highlight problem. They had mobile connectivity services for student and elderly that were located in the OE public school parking lot across Big Island. They also were involved with food assistance, eviction, diversion mediation program, transportation program in the Big Island, job training, and housing programs, to name a few. So on behalf of the our partners, though they are sub-grantees, we like to call them our partners in delivering services, because their success becomes the success of their office and ultimately the success of our state. The community action agencies are very valuable partners. So on behalf of them and the people that we serve, our low-income community in the state of Hawaii, we would like to thank you, Madam Chair, Mr. Chair, and Vice Chair, for holding this information briefing on this CSBG state plan that we do every 2 years as part of the requirement in submitting the plan to the federal government. So to give you a raw data to highlight, I've already have it in my testimony. For fiscal year 2022, the program has served roughly around 36,174. And Madam Chair had and I had a conversation earlier. We actually have the breakdown of those that receive employment and those numbers. So we would gladly be able to submit it to you after Madam Chair and Mr. Chair. Thank you. My apologies, Madam Chair, Mr. Chair. Here with us today are our community action agencies on Zoom. First to present is the Honolulu Community Action Program under Mr. Robert Piper. Thank you.
And Giovanni, if there are people who are testifying on the plan, is your staff going to be calling them as well?
I believe each of the head agency will call their presenter, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Thank you.
You can go ahead on Zoom.
Thank you, and aloha and good morning, chairs Moriwaki and Makiyoshi. Thank you so much on behalf of the board and staff and clients of the Honolulu Community Action Program for your time this morning. Before I begin, and I'll try to keep my comments as briefly as possible, I did want to thank all of you for your support of community action in our communities throughout the state. I also want to thank Giovanni De La Cruz and his staff at the Office of Community Services. Giovanni doesn't understate things when he says that we have a fantastic partnership with the state government through the State Department of Labor and the Office of Community Services, as well as the executive and the legislative branches as well. We thank you for your support. It does go a long way in the important work that we do throughout our communities. Those of us here this morning, myself here in Honolulu, as well as our colleague agencies on the neighbor islands, we stand on the shoulders of a huge and rich legacy that was brought up, as Giovanni says, back in 1964. And we get our genesis, if you will, from the War on Poverty, as declared at that time by President Lyndon Johnson. The brainwork, the start of all of this comes from the Kennedy administration. Sergeant Shriver, if you will remember, was actually the architect of a bunch of things that happened back in the mid-60s. Community action being one of them, legal aid, and all the other Head Start programs, all the other programs that were initiated back then because it was thought that the country was doing very well at the time. But there were a lot of people who were not at that table of plenty. They were in the rural areas, they were in the inner cities, and even here in Hawaii, there were a lot of people who were not participating in the prosperity, if you will, of the times. And unfortunately, that's still the case today. And so we here at the Honolulu Community Action Program are dedicated by way of our mission of providing opportunities and inspiration to enable low-income individuals and families to participate in that table of plenty as best as we can. And so very briefly, with your indulgence, I'll sort of explain our physical presence here in Honolulu. Our responsibilities, our kuleana, are the City and County of Honolulu, the island of Oahu. And we serve over 20,000 individuals and families on a yearly basis. And the services that we provide run the gamut from our Head Start, early childhood education programs, both at home preschool programs, as well as in-class, in-person classrooms. We also provide 6 district service centers throughout the island of Oahu. Leeward side in Waianae, the windward side in the Kahaluu, Kaneohe area and throughout the North Shore. Our central area in Aiea, in Pu'uwaimomi Public Housing, Leahi in Palolo Valley, and in our Kalihi Palama area in Kamehameha's Public Homes. And these geographical areas help us make our outreach, if you will, throughout the island of Oahu. We have a homeless shelter out in Kalailoa, the Kumuhonua Transitional Living Center, that we also operate. And we have an after-school science, technology, engineering, math program that we dropped into the heart of these areas that are most disadvantaged. In Kalihi Palama, out in Waianae, again in Palolo Valley, on the windward side in Hauula, as well as in Ka'ava. And we have a another exploration center in the central area in IAEA in Pu'uwaimomi Public Housing. Aside from those programs, we also run an employment core services program where we go from A to Z. We try to help people to level up. If they're currently unemployed, we try to find them jobs. If they're currently employed and they want to raise perhaps the type of jobs that they have, we'll do that as well. Our employment core services program is at the heart of helping people to become more self-sufficient, if you will. And so we will take someone who is either underemployed or unemployed, and we'll conduct job readiness training. And we will also provide them, if they want to, vocational training assistance. So if someone is interested in participating in the job market by way of becoming a CNA, a phlebotomy technician, a pharmacist technician, get a commercial driver's license to drive trucks, or a myriad of other vocational training, including our partnerships with the community colleges, then we will help with tuition assistance. And hopefully at the end of their certification programs, we will then help them to get placed in jobs. And so that's somewhat at the heart of self-sufficiency for us. Aside from those things, at our at our district service centers, we provide intense case management. And we will have somebody come in and they will, with their families, let us know how things are going. And we sort of do an immediate needs assessment. And at that point in time, we try to string together either services to provide them with the means of becoming self-sufficient, or we will put them into touch with partners that we work with and collaborate with, all to the ends, if you will, of getting them to become self-sufficient. I like to always remind everybody that what we do here at HCAP is not necessarily give handouts. We provide them with the means to get a hand up. And I think we can all agree that all of us at one time or another have had to get a hand up. And I have yet to come across, whether it's been on my board of directors in the past or as the CEO of my place, to come across somebody who's told me, I don't want to work. Or to come across with somebody who says, I don't want the same dream that everybody else has. And so at this point in time, I want to reemphasize that the mission we all have here is that of making sure that our community, our families, the communities we all live in, we all belong to, are stronger tomorrow. As an agency, we provide, CSBG dollars are given to us on an annual basis. Roughly, HCAP on an annual basis is about a $22 million a year operation. And all the programs that I just enumerated with you make up that $22 million a year budget, if you will. And for the last 3 years, as an example, HCAP has enjoyed and has leveraged the use of CSBG dollars, roughly about $2 million a year. And the importance of CSBG dollars for my agency is that it serves as the center of my funding universe. CSBG as a block grant for us community action agencies serves as a means for us to glue and piece programs together. So if I get direct funding, say for the LIHEAP program, the LIWAP program, or the other programs that I have, not a lot of people want to give us direct grants, indirect grants for our costs. CSBG helps us to string everything together and provide for coverage of overhead dollars, if you will. It also allows me to do innovation projects, if you will. If we see in our community localized a need that is necessary, then at that point I'm able to leverage CSBG dollars and provide seed funding, if you will, to immediately jump on those needs as we see them occurring. And then at that point, once we get something up and running, we're then able to go and leverage and hopefully find funding that's more sustainable, if you will. So the CSBG dollars for our agency really does come into important play because it does help us run an entire agency and helps to supplement all the different funding mechanisms for us to do our work here. And as a maybe additional piece of information, aside from my annual CSBG dollars, roughly about $2 million a year, in COVID-19 under the CARES Act, we were able to receive roughly about $2.6 million in CARES Act dollars. And those dollars came to us by way of, one, being CSBG recipients, and two, what we're able to do was we're able to be responsive to the needs of the community under the COVID-19 shutdown, if you will. So we put together rather immediately a rental assistance program. We did supplemental work with regards to employment program, utility services, food programming as well. And so we were able to leverage that CSBG CARES Act dollars and bring that into the state and provide assistance, if you will, for the island of Oahu. That, in a nutshell, is our funding with regards to CSBG. And with your indulgence, Madam and Mr. Chair, we have clients who are probably way more important than me to your informational briefing. And when you're ready, we're able to help them come and tell you and share their stories with you. And I'm also available for questions when you're ready. And we'll start.
Yeah, you folks can go ahead when you're ready.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Hi, good morning, everyone. My name is Catalina. My mom was a single parent and we had a hard life. We lived in shelters and my mom registered me for the Head Start program so that she can go ahead and go to school and find some work to help us. This was my first experience with HCAP. I had, as far as I can remember, I had fond memories. After graduating from high school, I tried going to college. It didn't really help. It didn't really work out, and I didn't really know what to do with my life. So I eventually got pregnant, and things weren't really going good with my boyfriend at the time. I found myself homeless with my daughter with little to no work experience and no money. I found I was working at McDonald's and decided that I needed a better life. So I decided to contact Central HCAP, and they helped me figure out what was my passion. I've done that my whole life, so I just thought that it was more of my calling. So they helped me enroll in this Na Lima Hana employment. With HCAP's help, I enrolled as a nurse assistant vocational course with professional healthcare educators. I received case management, job readiness training, tuition assistance to attend the vocational program that I attended. They also helped me with purchasing scrubs, shoes, and books that I needed to start the class with. And they also helped me pay for the cost of my test that I needed to do for my permit checks. I then was able to find a job with an in-home care provider, but the money wasn't, I was earning enough, but not enough to help support me and my daughter. So I eventually moved in with my family and decided to start my own business. HCAP helped me register my business, and I now have one client that pays me very well. I was able to save money, and I eventually bought my first car. I was sorry, HCAP helped me register my daughter for Head Start and apply for tuition assistance as well, which was very helpful. HCAP also encouraged me to apply for housing assistance. We recently moved into our first home, which was such a blessing for me and my daughter. HCAP also helped me with filing my taxes through their Vita tax program, and I applied for the low income home energy assistance LEHAP for the first time this year. I am currently attending online classes with Career College of the Pacific to get my certification in medical billing and coding to increase my earnings. I would like to thank HCAP for all of their support and providing such great programs for people like myself to help make my dreams come true. And I just really love the people that I've worked with in the past and currently and the future. Thank you.
Aloha and good morning. My name is Kalai Pedro, parent of 3 children who attended Honolulu Community Action Program Head Start program. The family advocate worked closely with my family and provided a lot of resources that included our HCAP district office resources like LHEAP. LHEAP stands for Low Income Home Energy and Water Assistance Program that helps to assist with paying for electricity. They also help with income tax services, like was mentioned with Catalina. They assist with preparing taxes. Also, they had our food distribution sites, weatherization program, which assists with increasing the energy efficiency in homes. They also have a Ready to Learn program, which assists with families in getting school supplies for their children from kindergarten to 12th grade. They also have career opportunities in HCAP. There were also community resources that we were informed of, like Catholic Charities, other food distribution sites, job fairs, parenting workshops, and other community events. At the time, our family needed assistance with filing our income taxes, and I also needed assistance with getting school supplies for my children who were transitioning out of the program. We were able to get the services through the HCAP District Leeward office. Our family advocate helped us through the process. She shared who to contact at our HCAP District office. The staff at the HCAP District office were amazing and helped with assisting me through the process. One thing I really appreciated was when I was unable to pick up some of the school supplies, the HCAP staff assisted with transporting it to my family and other families who needed assistance as well. My goal at the time was just to be more involved in my children's education. As a parent, I decided to volunteer and was elected by other parents to represent our classroom as a parent committee chairperson and policy council representative. This gave me the opportunity to work alongside my family advocate to lead our first Family Hui session. The Family Hui program strives to provide a safe place for families to find support among one another while sharing experiences of both joy and struggles in parenting. As the class representative, I encouraged other parents to attend parent meetings and Family Hui sessions by extending sessions at the community parks or either at my home. I was able to build relationships with other parents and establish a support system that still continues today. As a parent committee chairperson and Policy Council representative, I was able to learn more about the HCAP Head Start program and make an impact of our children and families. I assisted with our parenting curriculum at the time and also conducted monthly parent meetings and workshops with our family advocate. I was amazed at how important it was to be engaged and involved in our children's education and development. The comprehensive services has also assisted with my child's referral process to the DOE. They assisted with completing the necessary forms, attending IEP meetings for my child, and explained the evaluation process. The HCAP program has helped me prepare my children for kindergarten by informing us parents about the importance of transitions and how we can register our child for kindergarten, reminding us to update all of our health forms and providing us with health information through monthly health newsletters. We were able to visit kindergarten classrooms so that my child were able to experience and know what to expect when they begin kindergarten. Our experience in HCAP has been so wonderful. My relationship with my children's teachers and family advocates has been great. After hearing about the HCAP, what HCAP offers their employees, like professional development, job training, and financial support for schooling, it has empowered and encouraged me to apply as a family advocate so that I can finally pursue my degree in human resources, and it will allow me to give back to our community and the HCAP program. Once again, I'd like to thank all of you for giving me this opportunity to share with you from a parent's point of view why we need HCAP. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Is there anyone else here to testify for HCAP?
My name is Megan McShane, and I'm currently a resident with Kumuhonoa Transitional Living Center. I'm sorry, pardon me, I'm currently nervous right now, so I have to write everything down. My testimony begins as I bring to you a story of a lifeless individual entering Kumuhonoa. With nothing but the clothes on my back, I had no source of income, no support, no services, and no employment. Just nothing at all to call my own. I entered Kumuhonoa on November 11, 2022, not knowing what to expect, very anxious. My transition surely caught me by surprise. I immediately was provided with clothes, food, support, and assistance, pots and pans, beddings, and kitchenwares, something I never expected. Working alongside with my case manager, we started to connect the dots as to what I needed, place, and what I needed to accomplish that. I was aware that the main goal was to secure permanent housing, but how was it possible when I had nothing to offer? She again assured me that as long as I'm willing to work hard, the possibilities would be accomplished. My case manager enrolled me in HCAP's Nalimahana Employment Corps Services program that assisted me with seeking employment opportunities. I was blessed and hired part-time as a resident aide at Kumuhonoa. This was perfect as I felt. What a way to give back for all the assistance given to me. I was able to keep Kumuhonoa a safe place for not only myself, but for my fellow resident participants. In the meantime, I worked with my case manager to complete housing applications so that I could finally obtain permanent housing. In addition to applying for apartments, I also applied for the city's Section 8 program. A lottery completed with the anticipation of tens of thousands of applicants applying. I was blessed again as I was chosen one among the few thousands of the city and county of Honolulu's Section 8 applications to be waitlisted. There was a rare opportunity, especially for a lottery. In my eyes, I hit the big time. I could clearly start to see the accomplishments starting to unravel. I'm really grateful and blessed, as you can see. If not for the staff of Kumuhonua and the services working hard to obtain, and the love and support that they have given me without any expectations to return. This is why I am successful. Thank you so much, HCAP, Kumuhonua, for all the love and support provided to me.
Thank you, and great job testifying. Anyone else here to testify?
Yes, hello. Can you hear me?
Yep, you can go ahead.
Awesome. Aloha, my name is Crystal Fry. I was first introduced to HCAP through their Windward District office when I was released from federal prison after doing almost 4 years. So I first spoke with Corey Diaz, who was very encouraging and helpful in assisting me with signing up and explaining to me how HCAP worked and could assist me. So she enrolled me into their Nalamahana Employment Core Services Program, or ECS, and I was assisted with job readiness training, created my own resume, and I was blessed with a holo card for transportation purposes. So I was even referred to the Dress for Success program, so I could look decent as I looked for a job, and was even given a new pair of shoes after I obtained employment. So unfortunately, I did violate when I submerged my ankle monitor in water, so I had to go back to federal prison for 6 months. But when I was released and placed in transitional housing in IAEA, I reached out to Corey again for help, and she did redirect me to Sherry Maldonado at their Central District office, who has been a great help in guiding and encouraging me as well. So Sherry referred me back into their ECS program, and she helped get me hygiene products and assistance for my tuition with the professional healthcare educators for their phlebotomy course to expand my career horizons, given my probation restrictions with employment. So I also received assistance in filing my taxes with the 2023 HCAP Income Tax Services and Earned Income Tax Credit Program. So I obtained employment at my current job and have received gift card incentives for Target that helped me get settled into my place that I recently got with my children. And HCAP also assisted me with providing me an application for the Low Income Home Energy Assistance Program, the LIHEAP program, to help me with financial assistance on my electric bill moving forward. So HCAP has been such a huge blessing for my family, and I can only pray that they continue to encourage and help others who are struggling like I have, and so that people can get to where they need to be as well in life, as God has allowed me to be, with the help of HCAP services and the angels that work there. Thank you again for your time and hearing me, and you all have a blessed day today.
Thank you for your testimony. For all the other testifiers, you can just start testifying. You don't need to wait for me when the person in front of you is finished.
Aloha, my name is Johnny Silva and I am 66 years old. Through life, I made choices that led me to places I disliked and places of great adversity. My story is no different from any other person who had met life's turns to ending up with life's consequences. As my parents brought 7 children to birth, I am the youngest. Both of my parents worked, and I was left with my elder siblings to look after me. Life was good until I had the opportunities to make my own choices. In the 8th grade, I learned I had the power to do whatever I wanted. Self-willed, run riot, led up to where I became wild and carefree. By the time I was 21, I had 3 children and still didn't slow down. My family was always there, so I never got the full blown of recklessness. I made a self-proclaimed decision to be homeless and childrenless. For over 10 years, I lived a life of chaos, neglect, drugs, and abuse. In 2017, I lost my son and tried to move away to make a change, but it did not help. On January 19, 2019, I finally surrendered and followed my partner into HCAP's Kumuhonua Transitional Living Center. At first, it was a place just to be off the streets. It took a year and a half before I thought of what the hell am I doing here and try to make a change. I met with my case manager who completed intensive care case management with me and had me take part in group meetings, nutrition classes, and even budget classes. I was still unsure of what I wanted to do, but with the help and guidance, I was not willing to quit. I received assistance with their food pantry and even to Aloha Harvest, who would come in regularly to the shelter. It was not until I cleared my internal wreckages where I was able to feel comfortable with looking for employment. I worked closely with my case manager who referred me to HCAP's Nalimahana Employment Core Services Program, or ECS. Through the ECS program, I completed the job readiness training, created my own resume, and she even helped me prepare for job interviews. When COVID hit, jobs were still at a standstill, but I continued to meet with my case manager and look other ways I could obtain employment. On February 10th, 2022, I was offered a job at the shelter as a resident aide. This gave me an opportunity to grow with responsibility and accountability. I gained trust with the staff and still work diligently with my new case manager and the continuous program services to help me better myself. My partner and I received a Section 8 voucher, and I began to feel afraid to move because I was able to overcome so much through the support of my case manager. She encouraged me that this would help me grow and she would still be there to assist me even after I moved out. We moved into a permanent apartment in Aiea. After being at the shelter and being homeless for years, I was finally safe in my own home. I was able to keep my job as resident aide, and I continued to take steps forward, bettering myself every day. Mahalo HCAP, especially the staff at Kumuhonua Transitional Living Center, for all that you have done for me and continue to do for me. I appreciate it all. Thank you.
Aloha, my name is Erin Boswell, and I am currently an education manager for Honolulu Community Action Program's Head Start Preschools. HCAP, specifically the Head Start program, has played a significant role in all aspects of my life. I am a former Head Start student, a former Head Start parent, and a current employee. As a preschooler, Head Start not only provided me a quality education, but more importantly, a safe environment with loving educators and family support, because growing up in a low-income household with an alcoholic father, home wasn't always a stable environment. Later, I found myself as a teen parent, but my fond memories as a preschooler drove me to enroll my daughter, Alyssa, in a Head Start program. The program gave me confidence as a parent and also my first experiences in education by allowing me to volunteer in the classroom. The teaching staff and family advocates supported me in reaching my personal goals and encouraged and assisted me in continuing my education. As an employee, I started out 20 years ago as an assistant teacher. I've become a teacher and am now an education manager. Through that time, I was able to attain both an associate's degree from Honolulu Community College and a bachelor's degree in early childhood education from Wayland Baptist University, all with financial assistance from HCAP. They have continued to provide me training opportunities to develop both professionally and personally. Keeping with tradition, my daughter Alyssa began volunteering in a Head Start classroom while in high school. She was participating in the Career Pathways program at Mililani High School. She was inspired by my work with HCAP and decided to go into education herself. After graduating from high school, she became employed by HCAP as an assistant teacher. She also was able to progress her career and education through her employment. I am proud to say she is currently a Head Start teacher at our Ko'imiloa location and will graduate this fall with her associate's degree in early childhood education from Wayland Baptist University. I believe that it was only with HCAP's encouragement and financial assistance that I have been able to obtain my goals educationally and professionally. HCAP helped lay the foundation for my family and I to confidently face all of life's challenges. HCAP has truly met their mission of POI, providing opportunities and inspiration to enable low-income individuals or families to achieve self-reliance by taking this teen parent from a low-income family and providing me with opportunities for education and career, building me into a self-reliant individual, inspired to give back to my community. I'm eternally grateful for the hand up that HCAP has provided me. Thank you for this opportunity to share my testimony.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and Madam Chair. I just wanted to say again, thank you for your time and thank you for all your energy and the work that you all bring to us. HCAP, like my colleague agencies on the neighbor islands, we're but a bridge, and all of us have a past, all of us have a future, and what we do is we bridge the two, and CSBG is one of our main ways of building that bridge, if you will. I would be remiss if I didn't tell you that CSBG is not only a means of funding, but it is a means for us to stick together and to organize. But for CSBG, I would be one small nonprofit agency that alleviates poverty in Honolulu. With CSBG as a block grant, I am one of over 1,100 community action agencies across the nation, including the 4 that are here in the state of Hawaii. And with that, we're able to not only share, learn from each other, but basically find safety in numbers when it comes to Washington, D.C. and other parts of our government. CSBG also provides us with statute and federal rules, if you will, that we all abide by. And one of those rules is the system of governance. I have a tripartite board that's federally mandated by way of statute. So the 3 parts of my board of directors basically allows us, 1, to have one part of the board be made up of government partners, the other part from private sector, for me, including Bank of Hawaii, Hawaiian Electric, the Native Hawaiian Chamber of Commerce, Hawaii Pacific University. And the third more important part in my mind is the democratically elected people that we serve from our communities. They all have a part and a seat on our board of directors, and they all have a part in the governance and the mission and how we achieve it. And for me, that's very, very important to hear the voice of the people that we serve and we assist. I would be remiss, with your indulgence, I wanted to say thank you to your colleagues, Representatives Ichiyama and Hashem, as well as Senators Wakai and Aquino. They follow a long list of previous board members that we've had in our agency, including former Speaker Calvin Say, who's still on our board as a council member, as well as Isaac Choi, and Senators Taniguchi and Nishihara. We have a seat taken by the governor's representative and the mayor's representative. It's all of us together, whether it's government, whether it's private sector, whether it's our beneficiary class. For all of us, we all build that bridge together. Senators and representatives, again, thank you for your time. I'm available for questions when you need me.
Do you have any questions? Okay, thank you. We don't have any questions. Why don't we move on? Who's next up? Okay, Kawai, go ahead. Kawai, Economic Opportunity, are you on?
Yes, good morning. Good morning, Senator Moriwaki and Representative Matayoshi is chair of the committees. My name is Maybelle Fujiuchi. I am the Chief Executive Officer for Kauai Economic Opportunity, a private nonprofit community action agency operating on Kauai since 1965. I wish to testify and comment on the proposed Hawaii Office of Community Services, OCS Community Services Block Grant State Plan for the fiscal years 2024 and 2025. The Community Services Block Grant Plan provides for ameliorating and attempting to diminish the causes of poverty throughout the state by providing and funding a broad range of services. The Office of Community Services has been federally designated as a state agency responsible for administering the Community Services Block Grant in the state of Hawaii. The community action agencies, the CSBG eligible entities throughout the state of Hawaii, are celebrating their 58 years of service. They are autonomous, multifaceted, and abundant administrative experience in human development programs with emphasis responding to the needs of the poor. Community action agencies have provided direct and catalytic activities conducive to improved living, therefore diminishing stagnation and regression of the poor. In specific, Kauai's 100% poverty guideline poverty population is approximately 99% of our total population. The CSBG funds proposed to be allocated to KEO is approximately $281,823, and these funds have been allocated in proportion to the amount of low income as far as the population. The nucleus of the agency has in 2022 and 2023, as CSBG funding allocated to KEO, we have generated more than $4.5 million for needed services for the economically disadvantaged. That equated to a return on investment factor to 1 to 16. So for every dollar we got from CSBG, we multiplied that by $16 for many services. The exponential rate is extremely positive. You, the legislature, have been an integral part of achieving these accomplishments and ultimately providing vital services for the economically disadvantaged through your grants in aid, operating, and capital funds over the many, many years that I've been able to come before you, and you've positively funded our needs. The plan submitted will enhance even greater and have a marked capacity building element towards the benefit of the clientele through KEO, the eligible entity. The CSBG Act, which has evolved from the Office of Economic Opportunity of 1964, is of grave necessity to the needs of those in poverty, and it continues to be unique in its mandate to serve those in poverty. The community action agencies, all private, nonprofit entities, are governed by a statutorily mandated board of directors, which equally represent public, private, and poverty consumer representatives. Not blinded by comfort and complacency, KEO and the other community action agencies aggressively advocate for and execute resolutions to ease the pain of poverty without compromising dignity of those affected. With the Office of Community Services, the community action agency strategically plan for the expected and the unexpected surrounding poverty. As in the past, continuing into the present, and as the plan indicates, into the future, the Office of Community Services has been supportive of the community action agencies in the enhancement of service delivery for the economically disadvantaged. The plan provides a strong commitment towards continued support, and therefore Kauai Economic Opportunity strongly endorses the proposed plan submitted by the Office of Community Services. I am prepared to respond to your questions and comments to validate my statements vis-a-vis the Community Services Block Grant before you. Should I not be able to provide the information you request, I will attempt to obtain the pertinent information within 48 hours. I thank you for your past support of the plan, your continuing generous, tangible support of KEO's projects, hope to obtain your support of the fiscal year 24 and 25 Community Services Block Grant Plan before you. I appreciate the opportunity to testify before you, and I do wish you well. More importantly, I also want to acknowledge and thank the Hawaii Office of Community Services. I'm a dinosaur in this group. I've been here for many, many years, survived many administrations, survived many Hawaii Office of Community Services administrations. I need to tell you that the current staff with Giovanni and the others have been most supportive. They have aligned with us to be client driven, and therefore many of their decisions align with our decisions to serve our clients. And I really want to be sure to let you know that they have been very, very not only supportive, but actively in the execution of the funding going towards those that need the funding. Also, more importantly, my testimony is in support of the plan, but with me today, I have Jeanette and Diana that I think will tell you better than I can the meaning of the Community Services Block Grant Program. Do you have any questions?
No questions. We can move on to the testimony of the individuals you
Thank you
brought
very
with
much. Okay, go ahead, Diana.
No, Jeanette.
Oh, okay. Jeanette, you can go ahead.
My name is Jeanette Dubiak. I am a 76-year-old senior who has lived on Kauai for 25 years. I worked at the Kauai Food Bank under the CSEP program and retired in 2009. I live on a fixed income from my Social Security benefit and my pension. When the relationship between myself and my landlord deteriorated, they went to court and had me removed from the property. The Kauai police and sheriff came and tried to find a place for me to go. Finally, the police brought me to Mauna Lana Emergency Shelter. As soon as I got here, I felt safe, I felt secure, and I wasn't afraid anymore. I was no longer afraid of where I would go or who would understand me and help me. I donate money to organizations like KEO, and being here, I got to see firsthand the results of the ways in which people who are homeless and hungry receive security, safety, and have their needs met from KEO staff and its housing program. KEO has personally been a rewarding experience for me. My heart grew here.
Aloha and good morning. My name is Diana Spruill. I became homeless on August 30th, 2022. The studio that I had gotten in 2019 for $1,400 had went up to $2,100 and I couldn't pay it. I had HUD vouchers and 2 extensions and could not find a place. My 8-year-old daughter and I lived in my car. She went to Kapa'a Elementary School, so most of our time we spent the night at Lidgate Park. It was the best place to take a shower every morning since they had inside showers. Being homeless means no kitchen, so even though I had food stamps, I spent a lot of money eating out because I had nowhere to cook. The month before I had to leave our apartment, I put my name on KEO Emergency Shelter list. So every week I would go there and check to see where we were on the list. I would cry every time I left. One day I got a call from William that they had room for us. I moved in immediately. It was the first time in a long time I could give my daughter a warm shower because the showers at Lidgate were always cold. At KEO, I was able to sleep comfortably in a room with a lock and on a bed. Living in a car was uncomfortable for a person over 4 feet. I was now working at Ross and Ponokai, and my daughter still attended Kapa'a. KEO had me make a family financial plan that helped me see how I spent money and where I can save. They also fed my daughter and I, even when I came in from work late. I felt safe at shelter and that best fit in the world. After 6 months at the shelter, my name came up on public housing and we moved on May 30th of this year. I appreciate everything KEO did for us, and that's why today I work for KEO at the transitional housing as the transitional housing coordinator. I feel that I know how to navigate our clients through the process. Mahalo.
Okay, thank you. And I think we do have a couple questions, but we're going to save them to the end after all of the presenters go. Kawai, do you have any other people to testify, or is that the end of your presentation?
That is it. Thank you very much. I think Diana and Jeanette said it all for us. And thank you for allowing us to speak before you today, and please accept the plan from Hawaii OCS.
Okay, thank you. It doesn't really matter who take that. Maui next? Yes. What do you think? Maui? Okay, Maui, go ahead.
Good morning. My name is Gay Sabonga, and I'm the Chief Operating Officer at Maui Economic Opportunity. MEO is a designated anti-poverty community action agency for Maui County. We would like to thank the Office of Community Service, the State of Hawaii, and the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services for supporting MEO and the Community Service Block Grant. We often refer to CSBG as the glue that holds our agency together. CSBG funds fills the gaps in funding. Most grants fund direct services to our clients. They often do not provide enough funding for staff. MEO uses CSBG funds to supplement grants such as the Senior Community Service Employment Program and the BEST Reintegration Program. We have also used CSBG funds to support immediate community needs. An example would be use of the CSBG funds during the pandemic. We were able to offer food vouchers immediately to the residents of Maui County while they were waiting for their unemployment and other benefits to kick in. In 2022, MEO served over 19,000 individuals and families, touching over 46,000 lives on Maui, Molokai, and Lanai. Thank you for your time, and we ask for your continued support of the Office of Community Service, CSBG, and MEO. So at this time, Pasita, you want to unmute and testify?
My name is Pasita Asuncion. I am an SCE SEP Seniors Community Service Employment Program participant, and SCSEP is an employment and training program for senior founded by the state. The program found do not fund enough staff to run the program. MEO uses CSBG Community Service Block Grant Fund to supplement, and SCSEP to provide sufficient staff to run the program. This has made a difference for me. I have completed the training program, and now I have a regular position of MEO's transportation. Thank you.
Thank you, Pasita. Cassie.
Aloha, good morning. My name is Cassie Yamashisa. I am the Director of Community Services here at Maui Economic Opportunity. In our department, we administer the direct services to our clients. There are about 14 programs that are run through this department, 2 of which the CSBG funds directly support our staff, which I'll be talking about today. The first is the PNCC program, Planning and Coordinating Council. This program supports our kupuna throughout our islands, and we have 2 of our employees whose salaries are supplemented through the CSBG program. Through this program, 1,867 kupunas' lives were touched as of March. This I am using last quarter's reports to share the numbers today. And of those, again, as of March, 630 seniors have reported improved well-being and health and communication and community involvement. The other program is the CARES reentry program that we started during the middle of the pandemic, which directly supported those individuals who were being released from prison. Again, during the pandemic, they were being released without any types of support, without income, without phones, without housing. And as you guys are all aware, the job force was almost non-existent, so they had nowhere to turn. So through this program, we supplemented one staff, and we were able to support 198 individuals. 166 of them were assisted with temporary shelter. 27 of those individuals then entered into permanent housing, and 25 were able to maintain their housing for more than 90 days. And of that 25, 18 for more than 180 days. 61 individuals met their basic needs for 180 days. So from coming from a place where they were without anything, 61 of them were able to maintain all of their basic needs. And then 15 individuals increased their skills, obtain a credential, and or obtain a GED. So the funding from the CSBG program definitely makes a difference with all of our programs. We use it wherever we can, but specifically these two programs, it made a huge difference and an impact on our community. So thank you for the funding, and yeah, aloha, mahalo.
Cassie, the bishop is next.
I think his people went off.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry.
Okay, we're done. MEO is complete. Thank you again, everybody, for your time and your support.
Okay, thank you. Big Island?
Hello and good morning, Chair and Vice Chair. My name is Chad Hasegawa from the Hawaii County Economic Opportunity Council. I'm here today to ask for your support for the CSBG fiscal year 24-25 state plan. Each CEOC receives roughly about $1.1 million annually of CSBG funds. A number of programs that help subsidize our agency here on the Big Island. In our Housing and Energy Department, we do a program that is our Housing and Preservation Grant, which helps us repair and rehabilitate housing occupied by low-income individuals and families in rural areas. With these funds, we are able to go in and make some of those dwellings livable again, especially for those facing mobility issues with current health issues. For our transportation department, you almost know that, the Big Island is roughly about 4,028 square miles. So this funding is really important for our transportation department, which we provide low-income seniors, families, and disabled clients who face transportation insecurities. With these funds, we can expand our services to areas, especially the real rural areas and remote areas on the Big Island that the mass transit department for the county of Hawaii does not have access to. We also provide services for seniors that go to hungry meal sites around the island. We also provide services, transportation services for homeless shelter organizations on both East and West Hawaii, so they can have go to shopping, basic essentials, getting their license, getting their documents updated, We also use our CSBG funding for our food service program. Part of our food service program is we provide child nutrition meals for youth, which is roughly about 6,000 meals a month, and also our Meals on Wheels program, which we provide roughly 12,000 plus meals a month. For our COVID funding that we receive through our CARES funding, we're able to do Wi-Fi on wheels, which we equipped all of our transportation vehicles with mobile Wi-Fi, which at that time during the pandemic, we provided internet access for a multitude for elementary schools on both East and West Hawaii, which impacted over 600 youth, so they could download and upload homework when school was not in session. With this high-speed data transfer and internet connectivity, we also provided telehealth for seniors and disabled individuals. With CARES, we also did a utility assist program where we helped individuals and families with their utility bills that were past due or becoming, they received their shut-off notice, which at that time they put a halt to that. And also our food out program that we provided meals, protein boxes, and also produce boxes to families that were facing food insecurities. I'd like to thank Giovanni and the staff at OCS for the continued support, and like my colleagues on the 3 different counties. This is we look at it as, it's the state as a whole is our kuleana. It's not an individual fight, as you say, to get services. We do it for counties. We meet once a month at our board meeting and we discuss our programs. But we look at it as the whole state is our kuleana. So I ask for your support for this CSBG state plan for fiscal year 2024 and 25, and thank you for your time. Mahalo.
Yeah, thank you. Do you have anyone from Big Island here to testify today?
No, I don't. Sorry.
Okay. No problem. Senator, did you have any questions?
I want to thank everybody. I mean, it's, I really concerned about the homeless, and so we've been working on programs in the last 2 years, and I like your client-centered approach. I think that's been missing in some of the programs, and I just wonder how you are organized so that the homeless and those imminently being homeless are being supported, and whether you have any metrics to see how many people that you've taken off the streets and into more sustainable, living all across the board, because I'm looking at the metrics that you might have so that we can see how are we improving the conditions of people in our community.
To be clear, that's a question for
Everybody.
everyone, but not just Big Island. So if anyone wants to step up to answer that question, feel free.
So it can start with at HCAP. We have the biggest population.
Yeah. Well, Senator, I'll try and I'll invite everyone else to chime in as well. That's a big question. And so having said that, out at Kalaeloa, where we run our transitional living center, we work very closely with the state HPO, of course, as well as the system that's in place. So we get all of our referrals into our center by way of the current system that's in place. And so we basically will take people that are referred to us. And on average, I would say people are with us maybe about a year. some shorter, some a little longer. As you said earlier, the client-based approach is ours. We all address things at different speeds. And so having said that, in answer to your question, with regard to the number of people that come into our facility at any given time, I would say we probably have about maybe about 50 to 60 people on average. It fluctuates. And at that point, we do intense case management and all the services that we provide. And once somebody is graduated from our facility, then what we try to do, this is our approach, I can't say for others, then we try to do wraparound services, which is post being with us, if you will. Because you'll agree with me that no sense we try to get somebody off the streets only to graduate them, and unfortunately they fall back into homelessness. And so what we're trying to do is maybe do a more holistic approach, if you will, from start when somebody's referred to us to the end when they leave us, and then we do wraparound servicing as best as we can. It's all about relationships, I believe. And so having said that, with regards to metrics, as you state, I can tell you that we're trying our best with regards to, as they're referred into our system, to work with them and move them out. And it's not just a see you later, it was nice to know you. It's congratulations, and we're going to continue to keep our wraparound support in place as best as possible. One of the things that we're constantly doing is looking for partnerships, because as you guys know, oftentimes the monies we get for these contracts don't necessarily cover all of our costs. And so we're always having to look for diversified funding to support the effort. We're going to continue to work with the state in order for us to meet our costs. But I know that's something that you guys have taken up in the past session. But that's kind of our experience at this point. Again, a lot of it has to do with prevention as well. And so when we're putting together our case management, we're trying to keep people from getting into homelessness to begin with. And that's kind of what I have to share.
I guess I'm looking at the state program and the state plan as well as how can we make the connections so that once you hand it off, is somebody saying this person is now moving into permanent housing, is moving into a permanent job, so that they are sustained for the long term and not go back to the streets, as you say. And part of that is how do we make the connectors between agencies and among agencies. And I think HCAP, as well as all of the community agencies are out there in the community. So we're all working on the same individuals, and so if we can get them off the rolls, new people come in, but we have a nice glide path to sustainability for each person, no matter what their age. I know the point in time. Information that we got for Oahu anyway shows that from last year to this year, there's a really huge increase, and I see our CSEP program, but there's a huge increase of older people who are getting off and put on the streets. So, the wraparound services, we really need to look, because it's so costly, look at how do we do the prevention, how do we keep them from getting on the streets. And I think the connectors between the agencies that you work with across the board, and I think with OCS making the connections, I think it's really important to be part of the plan, to look at that and the metrics next year to see what did we do right, what did we do that maybe can be improved. So I don't know if the neighbor islands have a different experience. I know that the brunt of it is here, but because of the population size.
If I may, this is Maybelle Fujiuchi from KEO. We also have a homeless shelter, the only homeless shelter on the island, and Our capacity can go up to 38. During COVID, we had to go down to 19, but we do a lot of work with, we also have a transitional housing program, so we can progress from the shelter to transition and then to permanent housing, or from the shelter to permanent housing. I think the difficulty is the resources available to maintain that constant contact. And I'm here to support the CSBG plan, and that's what I'm here for. But we also have difficulty with full funding for full expectations from funders. And it could be a state funder. You have full expectations for how you run a shelter, but it's not fully funded. We have to go look for the additional funding. So I think it starts from there. Our wait list right now is 165. The point in time count is excellent. Haven't been a researcher myself. I was concerned on how it was done, but as long as it's done consistently, it's valuable on the information. However, we do know there's more that comes in the PIT count, only because we've experienced many that do not want to be counted, or they're in areas where it's not safe for the enumerators to go into. But it could go very many ways, but we're very proud of the ones we can move shelter into permanent housing or transitional. So the staff works really hard at that and then tries to keep up with them. If you don't mind, I'd like to yield to the my housing and homeless director, and maybe she can kind of shed a little bit more light on that. And her name is Stephanie Fernandez.
Hi, and good morning. Yes, our staff works very, very hard with their case management, setting up housing plans, working on family financial budgeting, trying to get employment. We have a good employment resource on the island, either through WorkWise or through high employment. Many of our clients have found employment through these resources, but the lack of able to get into affordable housing for our families is always going to be one of the biggest barriers. Even waiting for their HUD housing choice vouchers is another challenge. It takes, I don't know, maybe a year, 2 years or so before they are pulled. And then once they get those vouchers, another challenge again is to find those affordable housing or landlords that are willing to rent with a housing choice voucher. So although we've made progress, there's still a lot more work to be done. And also the lack of being able to hire staff. We've recruited. Staffing shortage is everywhere on Kauai. It probably is throughout the islands, but not being able to have that staff in place, makes it doubly hard.
Thank you.
Just looking at staffing shortages and the need for training, and we do have lots of resources going into training, internships for the CNAs. I'm just wondering, across the board, what you're working with the job centers, and also the Good Jobs Hawaii has a community college program that trains people, internships, and maybe even in the vacancies that you now have, how you might get internships so that you can train people into your jobs, and start the people who are you serving can be serving others. And I think some of you have outreach workers that you've hired.
I'll go ahead and field that, Senator. Yeah, you're right. As you all full well know, there is a definite shortage in the marketplace for staff. And we have experienced that for quite a long time now. And so please do know that we're trying everything we can, not just with regards to the outreach efforts and trying to, one, strike up collaborations and partnerships with others in the field, but we're always on the lookout. And that has included, quite frankly, having to reassess our pay structure. And so, as you know, in order to keep up with a tight job market, we've had to make adjustments with regards to what we're able to afford, what we have to afford to pay. And it all has to come from some place. And so, having said that, I'll recircle back to the importance of CSBG and other means of funding. And so, with respect to keeping our ranks filled, it's been a challenge. It's been a challenge for every business, I would assume, here in the state of Hawaii. And so what we're trying to do, of course, is keep up with the cost of providing our services and making sure that funding also matches. So when Maybelle talks about being able to cover food costs, that's definitely something that we constantly have to work with our funding partners, whether it be on the private side or the public side with our government partners. It's a challenge, as all of you know, because I know you've taken steps in the last session to help those of us who are trying to meet food costs. But you're right, it's been a challenge for my agency with regards to recruiting and retaining as best as we can. And I believe that's going to be a challenge, unfortunately, for quite a long time.
I just have one more area because I don't want to take up too much time. But one, because I am concerned about the homeless and getting every person off the streets. And this past session, the legislature did provide for some $45 million for the next 2 years for Ohana and Kauhale funding. And one of the areas, in talking to the homeless coordinator for the state, is that they are looking for places where you could stand up a kauhale, this tiny homes or hana zones, and they have the resources to help build it out or renovate it, and whether it's churches or other places. So you folks are the eyes and ears of your communities. So, you know, maybe working through Giovanni and him with the Office of Homelessness and Housing Solutions can look at places like that where you could have, and the governor has his emergency proclamation for these programs, so that, you know, you might want to look at places where you can start providing some kind of housing for some of the homeless in your community. So it might be another area for you to look at where there might be resources beyond yourselves to connect up. So I just end, you know, some of the things that I see you folks as really the eyes and ears and the connectors in the community. And the state office can help bridge those kinds of resources to you.
I think that was more of a statement than a question,
Yeah,
so we're
more
going
a
to move on.
statement.
I think that's it. I do want to encourage you folks, everyone mentioned that everyone's short of short of workers. The same goes for the state. So for all of the agencies, if you are looking for job placements, you know, let us know. Maybe we could try to coordinate something with DHERD for more entry-level jobs that your constituents might be looking for, that they could apply for.
3,500 vacancies.
Yeah,
so
we have quite a few, and I think some could be more geared towards your constituents too. With that,
okay,
do we
thank you
adjourn?
very much. And Giovanni, you want to some.
With your indulgence, chairs. Again, I would like to, on behalf of the Office of Community Services and the community action agencies across the state, we do want to thank you, Chair Moriwaki, Chair Matayoshi, Vice Chair Garrett, for your time and your indulgence for this. And I would like to make a promise that we'll do note your question, Madam Chair, about making sure that when we come back 2 years from now to present the plan again for the CSBG, is also make sure we take a good look on those numbers, on the numbers that we've held, but also those that we numbers to move out of what we call the two-prong approach, as my colleagues would agree with me, is to first to help them get off of their feet, and then the second one is to move them along. So we'll be very mindful of those numbers. So thank you again for your time.
Just one more thing, Giovanni.
Yes.
So what is the time frame? So the plan is now presented, we're getting comments. When
And
does
then
it
by
get
September
executed?
1, Madam Chair, we have to submit it to the federal government, and the plan is good for 2 years. So God be willing that we'll be still here 2 years from now. We'll come back again and
And
ask.
you've had an increase in your funding.
It's formula funding. Unfortunately, it's the federal government that determines the allocation per state, Madam Chair. So roughly for Hawaii, we're close to about 4 million on a yearly basis.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, and thank you to all the testifiers who came and testified. We really appreciate it.
Okay.
Shall we adjourn?
So with that, we shall adjourn. Thank you.